The elevator doors slid open with their usual metallic whisper, but Marcus Chen didn't look up. He never did anymore. Not because he couldn't see, though the doctors had warned him that day was coming, but because he'd stopped wanting to. The opaque darkness creeping across his vision felt less terrifying than the emptiness he'd been living in for the past 3 years. At 42, the CEO of Chen Technologies had everything except a reason to fight for any of it. "Hold the elevator, please," a breathless voice called out. Marcus's hand hovered over the close button, then reluctantly moved to hold the door. Heavy footsteps hurried inside, followed by the squeak of rubber wheels. The smell of industrial cleaner mixed with something sweeter. Was that cinnamon? "Thank you, sir. Really appreciate it?" The voice was warm, genuine. Marcus gave a curt nod, retreating back into his corner. Through his narrowing field of vision, he could make out a stocky figure in a gray uniform beside a yellow cleaning cart. Just the night janitor. They rode in silence for 3 floors before the man spoke again. "Beautiful evening out there. Sky's doing that thing where it's all pink and purple. My daughter calls it cotton candy clouds." A soft chuckle. "She's 5. Everything's either cotton candy or dinosaurs with her." Marcus said nothing. He'd perfected the art of discouraging conversation. A slight turn of the shoulder, a studied indifference. It usually worked within seconds. But this man seemed immune to social cues. "Name's Tommy, by the way. Tommy Rodriguez. I've been cleaning this building for about 2 months now. But we keep different hours, I guess." The elevator dinged at the 23rd floor, but Tommy made no move to exit. "You're Mr. Chen, right? I've seen your picture in the lobby. That article about the new AI software, real impressive stuff. Helping hospitals detect diseases earlier. My mom, she would have loved something like that." The past tense hung in the air. Marcus felt an unwelcome tug of curiosity but pushed it away. He had his own losses to carry. He didn't have room for anyone else's. The elevator reached the ground floor. Marcus stepped out quickly, but Tommy's voice followed him. "Have a good night, sir. Hope tomorrow's brighter for you." Marcus paused mid-step. Something in those words, so simple, so apparently throwaway, needled at him. Hope tomorrow's brighter. As if hope was just lying around, waiting to be picked up like loose change. He shook his head and continued toward the parking garage where his driver waited. But the next evening, Tommy was there again. And the next, each time with that same gentle warmth, those same attempts at connection that Marcus deflected like an automated spam filter. Tommy talked about his daughter Emma, her first day of kindergarten, her obsession with butterflies, her questions about why the moon followed them home. He talked about his job, how he'd been a civil engineer in Honduras before emigrating, how cleaning these floors was honest work and he was grateful for it. Marcus listened despite himself, caught between irritation and something he couldn't quite name. This man had every reason to be bitter, overqualified, working nights, raising a child alone, yet he radiated this insufferable contentment. It was offensive, really, this happiness in the face of circumstances that would break most people. 3 weeks into these elevator encounters, Marcus arrived at the office to find chaos. His assistant met him at the elevator bank, tablet in hand, face pale. "Marcus, we have a problem. The hospital software, there's been a breach. Patient data might be compromised. Legal is on line 1, PR on line 2, and the board is convening an emergency meeting in 20 minutes. The next 12 hours dissolved into a nightmare of conference calls, damage control, and watching his life's work teeter on the edge of catastrophe." By the time Marcus left the building, it was nearly midnight. His head pounded. His vision had narrowed to a tunnel, the edges of his sight nothing but blur. He'd forgotten his medication again. The elevator arrived. Tommy was inside, cart loaded with supplies, but his smile faded when he saw Marcus. "Mr. Chen, you okay? You don't look so good." "I'm fine." The words came out sharp. Marcus pressed the button for the garage level, gripping the railing as a wave of dizziness hit him. "Hey, whoa!" Tommy's hand steadied his elbow. "When's the last time you ate something?" That's not..." Marcus tried to pull away, but his legs had other ideas. The floor tilted. Strong arms caught him before he fell. "Easy, easy. I got you." Tommy guided him to sit on the elevator floor, propping him against the wall. He rummaged through his cart and produced a slightly dented lunchbox. "Here, It's just a sandwich. Emma helped me make it this morning, so there might be more jelly than usual, but it's food. Marcus wanted to refuse. He wanted to stand up, reclaim his dignity, and retreat into the armor of his isolation. But his hands were shaking, and the sandwich appeared in his limited vision like a lighthouse in fog. He took it. Strawberry jelly, definitely too much. With peanut butter on wheat bread, it was perfect. They sat there on the elevator floor. This CEO worth hundreds of millions and the janitor who probably made minimum wage, sharing a meal in fluorescent lighting. Marcus ate slowly, feeling strength seep back into his limbs and something else seep into the cracks of his carefully maintained walls. My wife made me promise something before she died, Tommy said quietly, not looking at Marcus but at his own worn work boots. She made me promise I'd never let the hard stuff make me hard, that I'd keep showing Emma what goodness looks like. Even when the world doesn't feel good, he cleared his throat. Cancer took her 2 years ago. Some days, keeping that promise is the only thing that gets me out of bed. Marcus set down the half-eaten sandwich. I'm losing my vision, he heard himself say. The words shocked him. He hadn't told anyone, not his board, not his few remaining friends. Degenerative disease. In 6 months, maybe less, I'll be completely blind. And I keep thinking, what's the point? What's the point of any of this if I can't see what I've built? If I can't see the future I'm supposed to be creating? Tommy was quiet for a moment. Then he said something Marcus would never forget. My daughter asked me last week why caterpillars turn into butterflies. You know what I told her? I said sometimes things have to completely change to become what they're meant to be. And the caterpillar doesn't know it's gonna fly. It just keeps going, keeps trusting, even in the dark. Tears blurred Marcus's already limited vision. I'm scared, Tommy. I'm so scared. And I'm tired of pretending I'm not. I know, Tommy said simply. But you don't have to pretend with me. And you don't have to be scared alone. That night marked a turning point. Marcus started leaving the office at reasonable hours, timing his departures to coincide with Tommy's rounds. Their elevator conversations evolved into coffee in the building lobby, then weekend meetings at the park, where Emma chased butterflies and explained their scientific names with 5-year-old authority. Marcus found himself laughing, actually laughing, for the first time in years. Tommy's perspective transformed how Marcus saw his company. His condition, his life? With Tommy's encouragement, Marcus started working on accessibility features for their software, programs that would help others facing disabilities. He began meeting with organizations for the blind, learning from people who'd navigated the path he feared. The data breach was resolved, the company stabilized, and Marcus made a decision. He established a foundation focused on accessible technology and hired Tommy as its community liaison, finally, putting his engineering degree back to use. When people questioned the choice, Marcus simply said, "He taught me to see in the dark. Now it's time to help others do the same." 8 months later, Marcus stood at a podium he could barely see, addressing a crowd that was mostly shadow and light. Emma sat in the front row, and though he couldn't make out her features, he knew she was there. Tommy had told him she'd worn her butterfly dress for the occasion. This foundation exists because a janitor refused to let a desperate man stay lost, Marcus said, his voice steady. Because kindness doesn't require sight, it requires vision. The vision to see that every person we meet is carrying something heavy. The vision to reach out anyway. The vision to believe that even in our darkest moments, we can be someone else's light. The audience applauded. But Marcus was thinking about elevator rides and too sweet, sandwiches and a little girl who understood butterflies. He'd spent years refusing to see hope, convinced that losing his sight meant losing everything. But Tommy had shown him the truth. That real vision has nothing to do with eyes and everything to do with heart. As the ceremony ended, Marcus felt a small hand slip into his. Mr. Marcus, Emma's voice piped up. Daddy says you helped him see his dreams again, too. You guys are like backward butterflies. You turned into caterpillars to learn how to be butterflies. The right way. Marcus laughed, squeezing her hand gently. She was right in the way only children could be. Sometimes you had to lose everything you thought mattered to discover what actually did. Sometimes you had to sit on an elevator floor with a stranger who became family. Sometimes the person you thought you were saving was actually saving you. And sometimes, in the space between darkness and dawn, hope didn't need to be seen at all. It just needed to be shared, one small kindness at a time. until it multiplied into something that could light the world.